Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's first Compliance Over Coffee. I really am losing track as to where we are this year. I think it's still March. Tony's chuckling and nodding at me, so yeah, we're still in March. And I've still got my daffodils, so it can't be too bad. So good morning, I hope everyone's well. This morning, what I wanted to just chat about just for a little bit is... yes, I go on about compliance, and this group is about compliance for sourcing. And I wanted it that way because I wanted it very niched and very focused so that I could drive help to as many sourcing agents or potential sourcing agents as possible. But sourcing compliance, whilst important, isn't the be-all and end-all of a successful sourcing business by a long way. There are an awful lot of skills that you have to grasp and work on for you to be able to make your sourcing business a success. So compliance is, Tony described it as one of the tools in the box of a successful sourcing business. And that is all that it is. There is so much more that you have to understand and you have to learn. I think one of the issues is that when people come into the sector, don't think of sourcing as being a business. They think of it as being a sort of a little bit of a thing that will bring in some pocket money. More of a hobby than a business. And the problem with that is that when you tell yourself it's a hobby, you don't think of it as a business, and you don't think of everything else that might sit around a business. Such as how you're going to set it up, where you're going to set it up, how are you going to run it, how much of your time is it going to take, what skill sets have you got now, where are you lacking in skills and will you need some support? Is the business going to run for 5 or 10 years or longer, or are you just going to do it short term? What are your goals? It is a business. It's the same as any other business. And if you went to a mentor who was purely a business mentor, not someone to teach you how to set up a sourcing business or what strategy there is for investing in property, but a purely business coach, they would ask you the questions that most people just don't talk about when you're setting up a sourcing business. It just isn't covered. And I think it's because people don't consider it to be a business per se. But it is. And what you need a business to do is to make money. Because if it doesn't make money, then you're wasting your time and you're just pouring your cash down a big hole. Now that cash might just be your time, but as we know from listening in to me over the years, that there is a cost to us being a sourcing business. And our average cost over just a general year, just for running, I've never really sort of calculated it out. It will be in my spreadsheet as to how much we pay out each year for insurance and registrations and bits and pieces of software that we use. But I would imagine it's running towards the £1,000 to £1,500 a year just to run the sourcing business on a basic level. And remember, we only do it part-time. We don't employ people to help us or do any work for us. So there is a cost going forward. So you have to work out how much you have to earn just to cover your costs to keep going. But people don't sit down and think about all of this sort of stuff that links in with you operating a business. So my good friend Trish and I have decided that we're going to do a live, and that is going to be tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. It will be in our Facebook group, but via Zoom. We tested it the other week with the demonstration for Landmark, and it worked quite well, whereas my StreamYard fell over and failed miserably. So we will try Zoom again, and it will be tomorrow evening and in our group. And what we want to talk to you about is the aspects around sourcing that are not talked about, the business aspects, the skill sets and the knowledge that you really need to make your business a success. And as one of my old mentors used to say, put cash in till. because that's what it's all about. You've got to earn the cash. And how many of you are actually operating a sourcing business or attempting to and just not managing to get money in the bank and sit there and wonder what it is that you're doing wrong, what are you doing right, what could you do better, and you just don't know. So Trish and I are going live in here in our group tomorrow night, and hi Laura, hope you're well. And we're going to talk to you about everything else that sits around how to source or how deal packaging is taught, and everything else that we feel should be sort of tagged on. And yes, you've probably read in the Facebook group that Trish and I are launching on the 12th of April our full-blown product. There's no pressure on you at all, guys, to go and express an interest in this product or anything. We just want to talk to you about the areas that we feel are lacking and where knowledge is lacking. And where if you guys haven't got any cash, that's fine. Just go out and research it for yourselves. But that's what Trish and I are going to talk about tomorrow night. We will be in the group at about 7 o'clock, and I will put reminders up in the group tomorrow. Morning, Rob, how are you doing? And Trish and I will be with you tomorrow night at 7. So that is Compliance Over Coffee for this morning. Remember that compliance is really, really important, but it is far from being the be-all and end-all of a professional and successful sourcing business. There is an awful lot more that sits around it. Compliance is just one of the tools in the toolbox for you to actually be able to get money in the bank consistently and sustainably. So that's Compliance Over Coffee this morning. I will be back again on Thursday. If you've got any topics that you want me to cover, pop them in the thread and I'll add them to my list of topics to cover in Compliance Over Coffee. So bye for now. Have a great Tuesday. See you soon.